Quack quack, as they say, especially after a victory over Oregon goddamn State. That is right, the Beavers of the Pac-12, which we are no longer of. That stinks. I still don't like that much. But you know what I do love? I do love that even though we're in a different conference, we're still kicking some Beaver butt. We're still cutting off that beaver tail and doing whatever the hell they do, slapping on the water or whatever they do. I love it. Right now it is Sunday morning when I'm recording this, which is why I'm about to sip a cup of coffee. If you're watching me, you're going to see it. It's going to be exciting. If you're listening, I'll probably try to edit out the sound of me slurping this first sip of coffee. Makes me feel alive. Makes me feel alive, like having an offensive line in front of Dillon Gabriel. 5 guys that can play the position. You know what I mean. Whew. So it turns out what we end up with. Josh Connerly, aka Jesus Christ, JC, on the left. That's left tackle. And then right next to him, it appeared to be Strother, who is coming in huge. You know, we'll never really know or need to know, I guess, why in week 1 they decided to go with, that alternate lineup of pick, and the rest, Harper on the left guard, on the right guard was Poncho. It seems it's clear now in week 3, and it's nice to have a clear answer of why that didn't work, and then have the answer of this should work, Ooh, it felt good. Felt like this was the original plan from the beginning. And Dillon Gabriel looked like he could breathe. Completed his first, 11, 12 passes in a row. Ended the first half 10-10. Had that huge run in which at no point did that defender think he was going to pitch it out. I mean, he wasn't going to pitch it out to the running back. Instead, he takes it all the way to the house with some good speed. We had heard, obviously, if you're going to compare someone to Marcus Mariota, you got to have some wheels. He's got some wheels. I'm drinking coffee. Depending on when this comes out, maybe you're drinking coffee with me. Maybe you are drinking some wine, some vino, some beer, whatever you want. Just celebrate. We got to bye week. That feels like the biggest part of it all. We got to bye week. We didn't lose. The offensive line looks like it's going to gel a lot better. Matthew Bedford was not listed on our injury report, which you have to submit to the Big Ten before the game, which felt big because it meant he could have played, but this group right now is gelling really well, and the reward, which we ended up getting if we don't play Bedford in this game, is he gets that full week of he didn't have to play this one. He was practicing, though. He gets another week going to the bye, and then he gets that week leading up to UCLA. So it's like 3 more weeks of healing up. Very excited to see if anyone, if maybe Iuli, maybe Julio Florence, I don't know. Who knows about that? But, maybe some of our players who haven't played yet can come back. Maybe we can have a fully healthy team. I'm glad that we go really hard in practice because that's how you get results like this. The butt kicking of Oregon State and what was once called the Civil War. But I hope we don't go so hard that we injure anybody. That's all I got to say. I'd be down with like a couple days of just rest, of just Dillon Gabriel going around with the minivan, picking people up, going to play some barcade, maybe Blair Alley in Eugene, Oregon, and just having a good time, just healing up. It was amazing. Jeffrey Bossa, if we're sticking with injuries, Jeffrey Bossa was limited. He did play, he did record a tackle. So again, that's nice that he potentially would be able, but they're looking at the whole hog here, the whole hog that is the season. They're trying to get everybody through it. They're trying to get everybody healthy for October 12th, especially our defensive captain. But it is nice to see that he can play. Bryce Betcher on the defensive side of the ball, I think you'd have to give him game ball just for the pure amount of tackles, 11, 5 solo, 2 passes defended. Just was a beast out there, and it's just really fun to say that he's a baseball player too, that he's going to the major leagues. If he doesn't get drafted in the NFL, that is, because he's looking pretty good lately. He's a classic college football linebacker. And I mean that kind of in the way of maybe not an NFL talent, but is doing everything really well on the college level. And what he doesn't, have in physical skill, he makes up for in brain and effort. Gumption, if you will. Manly gusto. So I'd give him the game ball, but Tatum Tuioti was pretty damn close behind him. He got a sack. He got one of our only 2 sacks. Terrence Green late in the game. He got the other. But the pressure was there. Obviously, sacks is the last thing this D-line really needs to put together. Because I'm not too upset with the run game. I think a lot of people still are like. It was upsetting those first couple of drives, or the 2 or 3 drives in the first half, in which they actually they were making it look like a game. Like Oregon's offense was just boom, touchdown. But it appeared like Oregon State could just drag this thing out and just play possession ball and, go on 8-minute, 16-play drives, which is a little triggering. Everyone, I'm sure, thought that. Any Duck fan who saw the 2022 season, which they brought up 10 billion times coming up to this game. As you do. Why wouldn't you? But that did not happen. They did not run on us 17 straight times. Instead, I think overall we did pretty well with the run game. We allowed 131 yards, which is the least amount of yards we've allowed. I believe. I don't want to look up. It's too depressing to go look up at it. Anthony Hankerson got 15 carries for 57 yards, averaged 3.8, and got 2 touchdowns. That was their best running back. McCoy had some success there too, 52 yards. That 37-yard long one was like their best play. And again, if the other team's best play is a QB run, as long as they're not doing it like a Cam Newton amount in success level, then that's typically a great sign for your defense. If it's like an anomaly where, he's a mobile QB, I'm fairly certain, but he's not known to be a runner, kind of like Dylan Gabriel. Like they can run, but if their best play is breaking off for not even a touchdown, but for like, a big gain, you're doing well. I'd especially like, because that was clearly the playbook. Everyone knew the playbook. Anyone who saw the 2022 game knew, hey, Oregon State's just going to try to run it up. Like, they're going to try to blitz the hell out of us, which was not very successful at all. And they kind of abandoned this thing pretty quick. I'll have to ask Hifliday about that one. But they were going to try to blitz the hell out of us because that's what Boise State and Idaho did. And they, those were competitive, to say the least. And then they were going to try to just run up the gut and take advantage of, if they were doing so well in the run game, that then a play action pass or two would really make a huge, or QB keeper. What instead happened was they did have that success early on. Let's look at in the play-by-play here. There was that first drive, which is 11 plays, 49 yards. The other thing is, a lot of these are are aided, by not this particular drive. Oh wait, no, we got one right here. It was that personal foul. Usually I try to write these down, but this one I don't even have. They were on 3rd and 15, and then boom, suddenly they get a first down. And then it wasn't even like, again, huge plays. You got to give it up for like Bryce Caulfield had a pretty good game for them, actually. And that Walker guy also did really well. They get down to the Oregon 24, then they have a false start once they get to the 21 on 4th and 1, which is gay. Duck fans showed up, I guess. No, probably not. I mean, a good amount, but I heard at the end that you could hear a very clear "Go Ducks," which is wonderful. They miss the field goal, or it's blocked, you could say. Mateo, young concrete, gets his huge arm up, blocks it. Though it does kind of seem like it was also, it hit his own lineman, I guess. But when you're getting pushed back, maybe we can take credit for that as well. It counts as a block, I do believe. Then it takes us no time at all. Boom, we score on that Jordan James run. And immediately on that first drive, it was like, yeah, no, this is what the Duck O-line should look like. Jordan James starts the 5-yard run, an 8-yard run. Suddenly, the passing lanes are open. Trayshawn Holden, 13-yard catch. Tez Johnson, 17-yard. It's just like successful play after successful play. We pound it in. Then they get that 13-play drive. I mean, understandably, that this is making you want to pull your hair out. Because Jordan Birch gets that face mask on first down that starts them off better than, they probably should have been. And they kind of marched down the field themselves. Trent Walker actually specifically had a pretty dang good game for the Beavs. He looked like he was going to be a problem all of a sudden. But they marched down. They get the touchdown, unfortunately. And then really their only other successful drive was 2 drives away, because for some reason they switched QBs, which I have no idea why you do that. There's a couple of fumbles I wish we would have jumped on, but Tez Johnson did jump on his, so that alone is going to make me happy. And so on that drive, we all know that complete BS. Yeah, I said it. BS. Well, it was called a possible targeting. They looked into it being targeting. They also looked into it being unnecessary roughness. They took away the targeting. You can't take away the unnecessary roughness, so they just get that, which was complete bullshit, because Devin Jackson should have been rewarded for getting there. That stunk, man. That stunk. We all know that was complete crap. They do get the score because of it. I'm sure it'll, they know it's fake. But that's it, y'all. Those were the successful offensive drives, really, for the opposing team in their, on their home turf. Now, Oregon State is not known as an offensive juggernaut in the year 2024, but it looked dang good. It also kind of showed, because like in Idaho and Boise State, they got short fields, the opposition did, because of mistakes we did a lot of the time, or just being eager, like the 4th down where we went for it on 4th and short and somehow got stuffed. Well, we tripped, but somehow got stuffed against freaking Idaho, who won again, which is nice. Boise State, there was the fumble from Dylan Gabriel in our own red zone. I'm sure there's a number of other things that were just freaking crazy. The other fumble, yeah. And those added a lot to it. But, man, I'm stoked. This team looks like what we hoped it would be. Let's look at a few team stats, shall we? 3rd down. That was when it was getting scary. Because in the first half, it was something like 4 or 6 or something like that. The third down conversions from the Beavers, we were helping them with a couple of penalties, which we did not get many. We only got 3 penalties, y'all. 3. And as far as I remember, which my memory is terrible, I don't think any of them were on the O-line. I don't believe they were at all. And we allowed 0 sacks. That's the other huge one. Oh, my God. Compared to the last 2 weeks, where we almost allowed as many sacks as we did all last year. Yeah, awesome. But we allowed quite a few third down conversions in the first half. In the second half, we knocked that off. We knocked it off quick. Us, on the other hand, we only had 6 third downs in general. We converted 4 of them. I mean, when you're scoring so quick, you don't got to worry about third down. They went for it 3 times on 4th down and only converted once. I love those numbers. We tallied up 546 total yards, kept them to 309, got 240 on the ground. That may be the most crucial thing, is that we actually got that ground game running. Everything's easier. Everything is easier if you can run the ball. And even that whole time of possession, which they're really harping on, rightfully so in the beginning, it's like, oh, Beavers are controlling. Beavers are really going to drain this clock. In the end, we had the ball for 27 minutes. They had the ball for 32. Like, when we wanted to kill the clock, we were ready to kill the clock. Dillon Gabriel, just about perfect. 20 of 24, 291 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Taco Tuesday. Don't know why I said that. Sorry, LeBron. One of those, I remember, was one that Tez should have had. Like, it was in his he should have had it, and he knew it. The other one was a bad miss that would have been a touchdown. We ended up scoring later, so it didn't really matter. Would have been a touchdown, but Dillon Gabriel just got a little too excited. And so Tez decided to, I guess, punish him later on by dropping it. 291 yards, though. Hell yeah. QBR of 99.3. And, of course, Dillon Gabriel had that 54-yard run. 54-yard score. Yeah, love to see it. The longest run of the evening. Though, Noah Whittington got a 27-yarder. And Trayshawn Holden got a 21-yard rush, supposedly. To tell you the truth, I do not remember that. Obviously, probably some kind of sweep or something. And then probably the most fun touchdown, in my opinion, because it also meant blowout, was Jaden Lamar's 65-yard screen pass to the house. It's also nice just because you want to see Jaden Lamar get rewarded. It was nice to see the backups in general. It was kind of a perfect fourth quarter where it's like, we get to see Dante Moore, who only threw 3 passes. At the same time, his mechanics and just how he looked back there. I mean, he's not playing a real game. You know, this is garbage time against a team that we want to compete against even higher levels than the Beavers, obviously. But he threw 3 passes. He didn't, melt back there. They looked pretty solid. He's got really good mechanics, seemingly. And, and we got to see Jaden Lamar, too. And you got to score. And we're rewarding him, It's like you're the third running back, but we're probably going to lose. Like, you almost hope that we lose 2 to the draft, Maybe one of them comes back, but we want Lamar sticking around, too, because he's talented. And I think the best part of all that, getting those backup reps in the fourth, is that we didn't do it for the O-line. No, instead, we literally kept the starting O-line in there, as far as I remember, untouched, exactly as it should be, just to get them more reps of, these are the winning 5 here. Let's get it going. And we did. Oh, man. This is a tough game to talk about. Either, when it's a blowout victory, if it was a blowout loss against the Ducks, then I could talk about it forever. I could just bitch and moan nonstop. But a win sometimes is harder to talk about. Because she's like, yeah, we did really good. What can I say? Certainly wish we could have gotten more sacks, but and tackles for loss. We only got 3. However, a lot of Oregon State's playbook was eventually designed off of, they're blowing up the middle of our own line. Let's try some tricky stuff going anywhere but right up the middle. Because after, they did have some success at first. They were getting like 5+ yards on first down. But we were shutting that down, surely but very slowly. And then eventually it forced them to do other things like run the QB and screen action passes, which we could have handled better in almost every single one of our games. But I'm still feeling very good. Like our defense is designed to focus mainly on stopping the pass. We did a very good job of that, I think. Overall, I love our secondary. The healthier it gets, the better it's going to get, but I really do like our secondary, which has been a weakness for many, 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 many good to great Oregon teams. It's still always been a weakness. Whew. Y'all, this is an incredible game. And I don't want to talk too much about it because I only had it. I was double screening, but mainly volume and big TV was Ducks, as always, as should be. But the Apple Cup, god damn. Oh, wow. Wazoo wins. Oregon wins. It was fantastic. It was because I wanted the Schadenfreude. I wanted to see the underdog Pac-12 team. I still love the Pac-12. I wanted to see them upset the Big Ten. I just didn't want us to be the Big Ten they're upsetting. So it was so nice to see Washington really shoot themselves in the foot a million times and then get stuffed on what could have been a game-winning play for them. It's beautiful work up there, Wazoo. Beautiful work. And I'd like to say this again. I'll just reiterate this because now's the time. Oregon State. Many people are going to call it Civil War. You're not going to offend me. I don't give a shit. I don't think it's the greatest rivalry name. That's why I'm mainly I'm down with something else. But I don't think you're, just by saying that, I don't think you're being necessarily problematic. What I think is problematic is the university deciding to change it. That's fine. There's better nickname. I don't care. It's not even like it was 100-year-old nickname. Who's in the grand scheme of things, not that old. There's older nicknames even you can call it. I really like the Platypus Trophy. I like calling it the Platty. I think a lot of people had some momentum there, and I think it could have won over a lot of, for example, the freshmen of U of O right now. If you had planted that seed of oh, we got to do it for the Platty. We got to do it for this goofy little trophy, for this animal that somehow perfectly encapsulates an Oregon and a beaver, a duck and a beaver combined. That's amazing. And the trophy's decades old, and we all of that could have worked out perfectly. And the old heads are always going to call it Civil War. That's fine. People that grew up with it, that's fine. You could have really stamped this thing to Platty. Instead, the university, they wanted to change it because they didn't want to get in trouble, and then they completely backed off of it. If you're going to cancel a name, you need to have a replacement name, and especially as good as one as Platty. They should have really ran with that, or anything else, because instead you've had commentators, even the ones that are trying to be respectful, for years they go, this storied rivalry, they have to make something up on the spot or something, really try not to say Civil War. And then it got to the point where people were just saying, oh, this game formerly known as the Civil War. And now it's gotten to the point where if you're not really giving them a decent, in their eyes, reason why it's changed, which I know Civil War is a general term for war. I get why you defend it. I also just don't think it's that great of a name, so I'm down with a new name. But if you don't give them an option, then they're eventually, and I think you've seen this throughout the entire country, even through the quote-unquote woke commentators and stuff like that, they just are going back to it. They're just going back to Civil War because you gave them no option, because it was a completely disingenuous move from the university. I'll still call it the Platty. I'm not going to call anyone out for calling it anything else. It's just kind of the higher ups really botched this, is what I would say. And I wish we just focused on that trophy a little more, because I think it is a funny trophy. It's a funny animal. A platypus. Platty. Natty. It all works out. Whatever. Call it whatever you want. The main thing is Ducks win, baby. The Ducks win. We're going into the bye week 3-0. Our next two opponents are opponents we should be heavily favored against. That does not mean we will beat them necessarily, but hopefully we can put up strong showings. And then I don't even want to talk about the next game. Quack, quack. We'll see you all real soon. Go Ducks.